Okay everyone, so in this next lesson, I'm going to run you through on how we can go and install a local server inside of our computer. We've talked about this in our last lesson about PHP, and if we want to run PHP inside of our computer, we will need to have a local server installed because PHP is a server-side scripting language and it won't work if we don't have a server running. I have already installed it in my local computer, and that's why I've opened up here my laboratory. It's a virtual machine of another operating system. Just take note everyone that I'm using a guest machine inside of my host machine, which is my main computer, just so that I can demonstrate to you guys on how you can go and install a local server in your computer. This is because I already have it installed in my main computer and I don't want to uninstall it and then reinstall it anymore. But the process here will be just the same. So what I want you to do is to go to Google search and try to look for XAMPP or XAMPP. So you would see here that I've already clicked on this at some point and it's showing me that it's already here, and usually you will be redirected or you will be getting a lot of hits here. I would suggest you go to apachefriends.org because that's the official website from where you can download XAMPP. So you would see here XAMPP is the most popular PHP development environment, and it has a lot of open source package software such as MariaDB, PHP, Perl. So if you want, you can watch their video here. We do have here the different versions for different operating systems. So you can install it inside of a Windows machine, Linux machine, or a Mac OS machine. So in our case, because I'm using Windows, I will be installing it in my Windows machine here. So again, that will be just the same for you guys. You just need to go and save the file. So this might take some time, so I'm going to go and pause the video and wait for it to finish first before I go and try to run you through the installation process, okay? Okay everyone, so you would see here that I was already able to finish downloading the file. I just had to re-download it because my internet connection was a bit intermittent a while ago. So right now I'm just going to click on this and click on yes, and it will open up the window dialog box from where we can go and start the installation. This might take some time for me on my case because of my internet connection is a little bit intermittent. However, with you, this will be very quick depending on your internet connection if it's stable. So don't worry about this, just click OK. And here you would see the setup wizard. Just click on the next and try to select here the components that you would want to install, and that will be installed in the directory from where you will be installing your XAMPP or XAMPP or XAMPP. So sometimes you will hear some people call it XAMPP, XAMPP, or XAMPP. So just take note, those are all the same things. So here I would want every components to be installed, so I'm just going to click on next. Then I would want it to be installed in my C folder. You can choose a directory for this, a different directory, but just for now, I want you to go and install it and in the default directory here, so at least you won't get confused. So once I click on the next button here, you can select the English or the language that you can use for that you want to use here. Then click on next, and you would see here that this will be also giving you an option to go and install other modules such as Drupal, Joomla, WordPress, and other open source apps on top of your existing XAMPP installation. So you would see here it has WordPress. We'll tackle those things, or specifically WordPress, in some of our future lessons. Okay, so let's move forward, and now setup is now ready to begin installing XAMPP. So let's just use this. Click next, and let's wait for it to install. I'm just going to pause this. Okay guys, we're almost done unpacking the files here. So let's just wait for a little bit while until it finishes installing the packages. So take note that you can also read some more information about XAMPP in their website, the Apache org website. Okay, everyone, so now that we are able to finish installing it, let's go and we can already start the control panel now. Click the finish button here, and you would see now that we have been successful in installing it inside of our virtual machine here. So again, this will work with your local machine. I just installed it in my virtual machine, so at least we can go and you would see the fresh installation of the local server. And just a little bit of introduction with regards to the control panel that we have here. You will see here that we have the modules that we installed. We have the Apache, MySQL, FileZilla, Mercury, Tomcat, and here we have the PIDs or process IDs. We have the ports and we have the actions from where we can start the Apache module, the MySQL module for the database. Might be asked to secure your firewall if ever it pops out from your Windows here. So you can choose private if you want the local server to be private, and public, of course, we don't want any public access to our local server, right? So now here we have here the admin that will be redirecting us to the browser. If we click on it, we can open the MyPHP admin through here, or later I'm going to show you that we can also access this already in our local browser here. If I go to our browser here, you will see that it opened up here a window for the Bitnami site. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, what we want to do here is to type local host. You would see that it opened up here our dashboard. Now, if we go back to our control panel here, we have here the config. This is where you can go and customize the port from where the particular service is running if you want on the backend part. So if I go and stop this and we go here, we can also see here that we can go and auto start some of the modules that we have here. So just take note, guys, that once we go and start the service, you can go and access the service from the admin button here, similar with what we did here in our browser. And you can manage your databases from your browser through the MyPHP admin here. So you would see it opened up the same browser, the same URL here in our other browser here. And you can go and access the MyPHP admin for the databases. You can create your own database here and check out this URL or the localhost IP here. Just take note that when I say database, this is where we can go and use to store data. For example, we create a login system, and in order for us to have a login system, we will need to gather some information from our users. So that's where the database will be very useful. We can go and store their information in the database. So going back to our control panel here, and if you want to go and check where this local server is running right now, we can see here we have the port, we have here port 8080 or port 80, process ID, we have the name here, and if we try to go down here, we can see here the IP address from where it's running, and we have here Firefox on our browser here. So if we go try to close that, as I've said earlier, we can also go and customize the port from where this service is running. Let me just stop this first and go to the config here and click on the Apache httpd.conf, and this will open up our notepad here, and we can go and change the port. If, for example, we have our port here, okay, so you will see here the code for changing, or from where we can go and listen using the port here. We have the port 80. So just take note that you can change this to 8080 or a port that you're familiar with just by doing what I just did. Save it and customize it, and then you can try to close this and then start, and you would see now that it's already running on 8080 instead of port 80. We just want to do this, especially if some other applications are already running on a specific port, or let's say on port 80, and you can go and customize this based from the port that you're familiar with. But in our case here, I don't want that. I just wanted to show you that, so at least you will be familiarized with how you can do that. Let's go back to port 80 here. Let's save. And usually the control panel will be automatically changing it, but if you want to customize it using a port that you're familiar with, or a port that you would want to use, we can go and use the config command button here. Now, another key thing that I want to discuss here will be to go to our XAMPP or XAMPP folder here from where we installed our XAMPP files, and go to the htdocs here, and you would see that we have here a lot of files. These are just random files that XAMPP here created. So what I want to do here is to create our own first website that we will be running in our root folder here, which is the htdocs, and then inside of that I would want to create a PHP file. Let's save it of site 1, and then delete that dot text here, index.php. Let's save it. Take note that it should not be .txt, guys. I think I made a mistake there. It should be .php. Let me just go here, index.php file. So you might encounter that incident, so let's go and create another file here. Save as, and change this to all files, and then try to index dot or welcome.php. So you can already create your PHP files. So you should not be selecting text.txt here. It should be all files. Okay, so you can go and create some files here. I'm just hello.php. Save that, and you will see that we were able to save it as .php instead of having a .txt file. Now let's go and try to open our site 1 here, all files, index.php, and then let's write some code here that will be hello world php. If you remember, this is the code that we can go and use for printing out text on our browser inside of our local server. So let me just put here a code here, and of course the PHP declaration here. Then let's go back to our server. We know that it's running. Let's go back to our browser. Let's go to our local host here just to refresh and replace this. Instead of dashboard, let's go to site-1, the directory from where we saved that, and we now have our hello world PHP working. And if I go and try to turn this off and refresh, and just go back here, site dash 1, let's see if it will still work. And you would see that unable to connect. But if we try to go and restart this and refresh, there we go, it's working. So that would be all for our session for our installation of a local server in our computer. So now what we just need to do is to go to your main project, and then we will be copying that folder to our htdocs. So perhaps another tip that I can give you here would be to go and pin your htdocs here. So again, go back to the XAMPP directory here, and then right click and then pin to quick access, so at least you can easily go to that root directory from where you have installed your website. So at least it will be a lot easier for you to navigate and go and open the files that you have here if you will be doing some changes. Okay, so that would be all, guys. I just wanted to give you that as a tip. You can go and pin it in your quick access, so at least if you're going to be building a lot of websites, you can easily access it using your local server. So thank you, and see you on our next lessons.